So this is the maple Ukigumo, which was the one right behind this white seat I was sitting on. It's called Floating Clouds maple. Has real white foliage more often than not. It sometimes, some years it won't, but one or 2 years out of 3 or 4 or so it'll come out white. Summer is a green foliage, and then autumn's orange. It gets about 2 metres high, and it's a bit sunny here for it. I possibly haven't got it in the right place, I think you'd probably say, if I admitted it. So I'm going to move that one. I'm not quite sure where I'm moving it to. I've got a couple of ideas. It could just jump around the other side of this hedge where I moved Rosa Sharon, a deciduous hibiscus from, and it could pop in there. It won't get morning sun. It could possibly get afternoon, so it might get a bit hot. That's the only trouble. Like I said, the sun is really hard to stop in summer because it's just vertical, straight above you for most of the day. It does, of course, go across the sky, but it goes so much that in the morning the left-hand side of the tree is good, in the afternoon the right-hand side of the tree is good, and the sun's so hot that, yeah, it's just a tricky thing. This one is the Acer Shirasawanum aureum, golden full moon, and I know it's winter and it's got no leaves, but you can see it's got a lot of branches and energy. It's actually growing. It's bigger than it was when we got it. So I put this shelter behind it, which is just corrugated iron, a couple of screens I had for something else, and I moved those plants and I just put this up here. And it worked really well until that, it's, you know, because it's the north up there, east is over there. So, in fact, in the summer, the sun gets up a little further around than east, and it does probably about 270 degree lap of the sky, not 180 degrees. Anyway, the shelter worked quite well until that real hot weather when the sun was straight up and it was still coming in and burning kind of down from this side, sort of coming down through here in the afternoon. So that prompted us to try and put some shelter in. Of course, it's going to be a little longer term than what you ever hope. So we put in a gladitsia in behind it. I think that's ruby lace, that one, which will grow up in a huge big sort of an umbrella, and that shelter would have been taken away and it would help to shade that tree. But of course that takes time, and we can't wait too many summers, so I need to move it. Can always put another one back here. And the same with this one. We put this, it's another gladitsia. Can't remember offhand if that was ruby lace or just the green. Actually, it might have been a sunburst. Yeah, yellowy one. Anyway, we put that one there to shade that maple. However, that's also going to take time. So we probably need, it's probably 3 years, I guess. I don't know. However long it takes to grow up big enough to shade a tree. So we need to move that maple, and this maple is basically the end of the story. Take that screen away and let the two gladitzias grow and do their thing. Where I'm going to put them, well, let's go and have a look and see if I can decide. So I'm wondering if I put either maple, really, it doesn't matter which one, because they're both after the same conditions and they're both around about the same height. They're both going to get about 2 metres high, and they'll have morning sun, but they don't want hot afternoon. So that's really shady in here. I've got a hedge on that side, which is the east or northeast side. I've got this Prunus Yukon cherry tree above it, ornamental cherry, which gets full leaf. So it gets really shady under there. Hopefully it's not too shady. A little bit of morning sun would probably help them a little with I can always trim that hedge down a little bit though. That's about 6-8 feet high, so I can trim that down a wee bit if I have to let a bit of that morning sun in that heads over from over there. So that's one location. I'll go and show you the other. And so the other maple is possibly put it over by our deck up by the house, where it gets quite a bit of shade. There's some kawaii trees that can shelter it, and the height won't be too bad. I do have to move a water feature, but I was going to move that anyway, so that doesn't really worry me. I'll show you where I could put it. So this is a location for one of them by the water feature, or instead of the water feature. So that's the water feature that I bought, the big ball, which is solid concrete. Got that years ago, and it had a big hole in it already for this very reason. So I put a pipe through, built the steel platform it's on, and it's got a reservoir down under the ground. So it runs well and works well, but like all water features, they lose water through splashing or evaporation or running off. This one's possibly losing some by that pittosporum there. There's a little camellia around the back, and the water's not running off that plate at the moment, but from time to time things change. And so I'm quite happy to move it somewhere else. That doesn't worry me. I thought about it a while ago, maybe a little further out. I was going to cut the corners off this plate to limit the length so that the water wouldn't dribble down off the side like that, and I wouldn't lose any. The reservoir at the bottom is probably about the same size of plate, maybe a little bit bigger. Anyway, it does lose water, and I'm going to move it. So I think I could put a maple there. That's north, so we've got a tree there, fairly high tree, about 12-15 feet high, and this is the western side, so that'll get good shelter from the afternoon sun. So I reckon that'll be all right. The other location I had thought of for one of these maples, so I've got 2 maples and 3 possible locations, so that's a good problem to have. This one isn't such a good location though, I don't think. So we're talking summer sun, remember, not winter. That's not hot enough and they've got no leaves and things are all good. As I could pull out this carpeditis down here, which is probably going to get a little bit squashy in there because he's going to be growing up and kept at about that height. Admittedly, that's a bit roundish looking, but I gave it a good prune a while ago after I got some cuttings off it, so it will not be so rounded looking soon. It'll grow out a little bit, but that one's going to get up the same height. So I thought of putting a maple in here, but as you see, there's not a lot of cover behind it, and especially I'm trying to stop that vertical heat in summer coming straight down on it. I could possibly put a maple in here that would handle a bit more heat. And deciduous is always, I quite like deciduous because you get the light through in winter, and the greenery or coloured leaves over summer. There's a Banksia rose growing there, which does provide some shelter, but that may move one day as well. So yeah, possible location, but probably not for these 2 maples. So I think maybe the water feature and back over under that cherry tree. So I might start by moving one of them and then maybe pull the water feature apart. Well, that was fun, pulling out a water feature. It was low voltage pump, so the cable was not buried under the ground much at all. I had it in a piece of pipe as well, just so I wouldn't cut it and make the pump not work anymore, but there was never any worry of electric shocks. And so I've pulled that out and just relayed it, and I'll reuse the water feature. And here's the new tree down here, so we'll turn around and have a look. And there it is, nestled in with an azalea, so they'll all be happy together. I re-ran the pipe. The pipe for the water feature was going through there and over to where it was. So I pulled that out from there and just, so you can see the pipe it was in, just hooked it through under there, around there. It stops in just behind this post. So I'll pull it all apart at the other end, the cable at the electric end, where it goes into the little transformer, and I'll pull a new wire through a bit longer, and I'll run it somewhere out here. We're going to put a water feature, probably out there. That grass will change. There's a few changes going to happen sometime. Those pots are part of the change, but at the moment I've just set the steel here. We might even put one of our bonsais on it. My wife Brenna has a bonsai collection, started and learning how to do them, so we might stick one up on there. So I'll move this maple now, just going down the bottom of the little slope that we're on in this garden. This is our maple garden. It's probably got the most shade, so apart from these two that didn't have shade, it was a good place for my maple collection to start. I meant to say that first maple I just did a minute ago, there was river stones all around the water feature that had been there, and some of them went in the hole. There was sand in the bottom of the hole that the pond liner had been on from the reservoir I had made for the water feature, and so I didn't really need much soil or potting mix or anything to go in the hole, and it helped with the drainage having those river stones. So although I pulled the pond liner out and all the water went in it, it all drained away, so it won't be boggy at all. And this one should be fine as well. Getting good root balls off these couple of maples. They're not very old, I think 2023, so that's 3 years. Doesn't seem that long ago. But fairly good root ball. Oops. Wheelbarrow did a wheel stand, or a leg stand. See, that's going to be alright. Middle of winter on a cool day, these plants won't know the difference. Right, so dug that one out, and he's literally sliding down the hill here. He's going to go just over in there, carry on down the path, and he's going to go just back in there. Got these hydrangeas in the front, a fairly old rhododendron Yakushimanum there. They're fantastic, super slow growing. That's a straight straight Yakushimanum. I don't even know how old that is offhand. Might be 30. It's been in the family forever. Moved homes a few times. Anyway, over here, whipped up a bit of a hole, and this is where we'll stick it in. It's got a Helleborus at its feet and around it. think there's a clematis in there to grow up that tree as well. I think you can just see the leaves of it there. So I think the maple will be in fine company in here. Let's stick it in the ground. Wow, that went in nicely. It's a little higher in the ground, but that's always a good thing. The amount of leaves falling off this tree will soon mulch around the top of it in a natural way. The only thing left to do now is give these two maples, probably more this one than the other, a little drink of water, and then just change them on my plan. I have a plan of the garden with all the plant names and where they are on the property. There's no way I can remember all of them. I do have labels, but I've got a list of labels that need making. So I have a plan which helps me remember who they are and where they are. And then when I get new labels and put them in the right plant, it's good if we have people around who are interested. We have the odd garden group coming through as well, so they have the name written in front of them. They usually come spring when things are in flower, so those are usually when the questions are. So that's it. That was a successful little move. I'll see you later.